Now let's see. All right, welcome everyone. We are live with myself, Chef Katie Mae, and Timaree Hagenberger here, registered dietitian, and she's going to be making us a dessert nacho bar. If you were on the call a couple minutes ago, we had a little bit of technical issues. My sincere apologies for that, but we're going to start fresh because I want to make sure that you can hear us both. So let me know in the comments that you can hear us, and of course you can see us. So before we get started, let's just confirm that you've got it all there. Okay, perfect.
Can you hear me, Katie? You sound really far away.
Okay, I'll check on my mic, but
Can
everyone hear us? I think they're saying they can hear us both. So you are good to go, and I'll let you know about any questions we have.
Now I hear like a chipmunk.
That's the noises from the comments. I'll try to here, what if I
It's really loud, high
really
pitched,
loud,
like
but I'm not loud.
chipmunk and feedback.
See, we were doing this before we started and it all seemed to be working, but then when I went live,
I can't hear anything.
they can hear us. Oh, we lost her. So we're going to give her a call back. You guys, I was really trying to improve our system for you. So next week will definitely be better. But I'm really hungry just thinking about all these nachos. So, and again, this is her cookbook.
Okay.
Foodie Bar.
Much.
So you guys check this out, and I have a few that I'm going to be giving away. But if you want to buy this now, this is the cookbook she's going to be talking about. Tell you all about it. So let us know.
All right. We don't want that. That's
you got to flip the camera back around. Okay.
Okay. Because I'm tiny there. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we could hear you before too.
Okay.
I think it was just.
It was so weird. All of a sudden, I heard a chipmunk voice, and then it was like my voice back, delayed, but in like chipmunk speed, super high pitched. I don't know. Okay.
You're good now.
I will start. Okay. My name is Timaree Hagenberger, and I am a nutrition professor full-time at Cosumnes River College in Sacramento, and I absolutely love food. So as a registered dietitian, sometimes people think of us in hospitals or situations where we're taking things away, right? As a dietitian, when you're sick and you have to go see a doctor, and then they say you have to go see the dietitian. Well, I'm into food and love food, and I can do all the biochem, I can do all the calculations, but I love to show my love with food. And I grew up with my grandparents in the kitchen. I had an Italian grandparent and a German grandparent, and we loved cooking, but we just didn't realize at the time that the food that we loved did not love us back. So in 2011, I got into plant-based and have never looked back. I would not trade it for anything. So my family, though, are not dietitians, right? So I have two kids. They're now 17 and 14, and my husband. And so I needed to figure out a way to keep them happy, but also give them the food that's best for their body. So I started working on my recipes and making them plant-based and ditching the oil and using as much whole food as possible. And so I ended up writing a cookbook called The Foodie Bar Way, which Katie talked about. And when most people see it, they think, oh yeah, like bars, like granola bars, energy bars. No. We're talking about like taco bar, right? So lots of options. And that's actually the subtitle is one meal, lots of options, so everyone's happy, because it isn't fun to live in a family situation where you have to make different different meals for every person. So that's definitely not what we want. So one of the things that people, they understand taco bar, but we're going to turn that on its head tonight, and we're going to do a dessert nacho or taco bar. Now, I don't have a dessert nacho or a dessert taco bar in the book because I hadn't ever invented a tortilla recipe, but that's what I'm going to do for you tonight. And then I'm going to show you how I often enjoy the nachos, which are in the Foodie Bar way. And that's also a whole food variety for a chip. But I thought I would start with making the tortillas. Now, if you know me, you know I'm always trying to sneak really nutrient-dense foods into everything I make. And if you really know me, then you know I'm going to try to figure out a way to add beans or some kind of legume to everything. And I will not disappoint. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with masa harina, and that is the masa, which is the flour made from corn. So it's just corn that's been soaked in lime water, which is not the same as a lime tree, but it's an alkalinizing agent that will break down the outside of the corn and make the nutrients actually a little more digestible. So we're going to start with 1 cup of this. And I keep all of these types of grains in my freezer. So, because I want to keep them as fresh as possible. And I don't use a lot of flour in my life. I go for more of the whole foods. But this is a fun tortilla recipe. Okay, so what are we adding to this? Cinnamon. So we definitely, if you have a choice, you want to use Ceylon cinnamon. That's going to be the best option for you. There's been a lot of talk about cinnamon and blood sugar control. However, the Saigon cinnamon that you typically find in high amounts can actually be a little bit toxic. So the Ceylon cinnamon is the true cinnamon. So you can find that. I end up getting it online typically if I can't find it locally. So that's it for the dry ingredients. Now the wet ingredients. So I often, and you'll see one of the recipes today, or 2 of the recipes use this, but I will use dates, but I'll soak them. Even though I have a Vitamix, it's just, I like to soak the dates. And sometimes I use the water, the soaking water, and sometimes, depending on the recipe, I don't. But that water is really nice and sweet. And so I thought I can figure out a way to do that, to use that water specifically in these tortilla recipes because I want just a little hint of sweetness. So what I'm going to do is just measure out 1/2 cup of the soaking liquid. And you can use water. I mean, of course, you can use non-dairy milk if you wanted to. But we're just going to use the soaking liquid. And then, of course, this is the part where you don't want to tell people what you're putting in here. You just can know this. We're putting in sweet potato, 1/4 cup. And Katie has the recipe. I sent that to her with the skin. Yes. Now that's cooked. I steamed that sweet potato. And beans. These are Mayakoba beans, but any white bean will do. Color-wise, you probably want to stick with something white. Although I wrote out in the recipe that this would be way fun with blue masa, right? Because you can have the colors. You can have a lot of fun. You can do purple sweet potato, blue masa, and have these gorgeous purplish blue tortillas. So that would be great. Okay, so I don't know, Katie, does Skype make it quiet when you use the Vitamix like Zoom does, or do you?
I don't think it does.
Okay, so this might be a little bit
So
loud.
people can just silence their things if they want to.
Okay. I realized what I forgot was the vanilla. So you don't have to use the vanilla. If you like to, you can. I love vanilla. I don't like how expensive it is. So that's a little frustrating. And I've thought about, I hear people talking about the vanilla powder. I found vanilla powder, but it was a sugar that had vanilla on it. It wasn't just straight vanilla bean that was ground. So I haven't, and that was still expensive. Okay, so that is it for the liquid. So this is as simple gets. And I am going to use I think I'm going to use a wooden spoon, maybe a spatula like this one. I'll show you my favorite blender spatulas, the Tovolo ones when we get there. Okay, so that masa has no salt in it, and there's no fat, there's no oil in it. So if you buy prepared masa, which is the dough already made, then that could definitely have fat that they've added to it, but we're not going to add any kind of oil or shortening. Okay, so now enter the better scraper, which is the Tovolo. So we're just gonna get all, some of you may know too, that my superpower is I'm a super scraper. So when the rest of the kitchen population says, oh yeah, that's fine, they just shake it out. Oh no, I'm still in there trying to get every little morsel out because this is good food in here. There are beans in here. So I'm gonna do my best here. And the way that it works with the masa harina is that you're never going to really know if the liquid is right until you mix it, because even humidity for the day and some sweet potato is a little more moist than others. So you're just going to have to play by ear. And I know a lot of people want a specific recipe, but this gives you the freedom to make it your own way, which is actually the whole idea behind the Foodie Bar Way. So the book has 32 different bars, which means setups for you, where I've done all of the idea generation, all the heavy lifting, so to speak, to put the ideas out there so that all you have to do is pick some options and combinations that sound good to you and play. So that means if, like I had said earlier when we were doing this, if you only have orange sweet potato, use orange. If you have purple masa harina, use that. If you don't have dates soaking, use water, right? I mean, you can, or almond milk or soy milk, right? So make it whatever works for you. So at some point here, what I'm going to want to do is transition to my hands. So I'm going to use this scraper. You kind of have to use two scrapers for this, but I'm happy with the consistency at this moment because I'm going to end up kneading it a little bit. Not necessarily like you would think of with bread, but I am going to just bring it all together in a ball. So let's put these over here, and you can kind of see, I don't know if this will show you. Let me get this incorporated a little bit. Katie, do we have any questions at this moment? Is everybody able to hear me?
They can hear you. How long did you leave the dates soaking?
Oh, I usually overnight, but they can be for just, I would say if you're going to use the liquid and you're counting on the liquid being a little sweet, probably overnight, or if you did it in the morning.
Okay.
But you're only going to get a hint of sweetness unless it's been sitting for a long time. And then that water really permeates with the sweetness. Mm-hmm. Okay, so do we see basically what this looks
Great.
like.
Yeah. Oh.
If it was too crumbly, then we would add a little bit, like I would say maybe a tablespoon at a time of the flour, the masa harina. Or if it was too liquidy, I mean, if it was too dry, too crumbly, then you'd want to add water. But I would say like a teaspoon at a time, because then you're ending up with, it's just going to get stickier and stickier.
Mm-hmm.
So now what you can do is this will make like 22 to 23 little tortillas. So I just break it up into smaller bits until I get the size that I want. So this little, and I'm going to knead it for just another minute or two. We ended up having to start late. So I'm trying to be
no
aware
worries.
of the
We might go
time.
over a little bit. That's okay. We can go over.
Okay.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, because I want to make the sauces
And so
too.
if someone wants to do this without grains.
Yes. So they won't do a corn tortilla, obviously.
Yeah.
So that's a different, we get to the end, when we're actually making the nachos, I will talk about how you can do it without a grain.
Okay.
But as far as making the tortillas without a grain,
Not yet.
No. You can do other things. I mean, I know that you guys have done, and Chef Bravo does the crepes. But that's not,
yeah, the
that's not a
crepes would be
tortilla without.
legumes. I wonder, and I've
Right.
done sweet potatoes for so many things.
Right.
Making just sweet potato buns, like a hamburger bun.
Right.
And I've done kind of flatbread as well.
Right.
So I wonder.
And I was actually I was thinking before I got the tortilla idea, I was thinking about doing a sweet potato flatbread. But they all called for some ingredients that weren't something that we normally would use very often. That you and I don't, those binders and different things. Yeah.
A lot of the vegan baked goods, especially when they're gluten-free, use things like the agar and xanthan gum and those types of things. And so we try to avoid that if we can. So I'm excited, though, to try these out.
Because the some of those ingredients too, you end up buying them and then you use them for like one recipe or two recipes, and then they sit, and they're usually pretty expensive.
It's
kind
of like the carrageenan and other things that are added to the non-dairy milks as well. They just can really do a lot of damage to our gut lining, and you may not even notice it until it's too late.
So, and like I said, the way I normally eat the dessert nachos, I don't use, I just use fruit on fruit on fruit, which I'll show you. But I thought for this, because I figured that there would be some people that would want to play around with a tortilla recipe. And especially if they had other family members, grandkids, or someone else too, that they wanted to make something for. Okay. Now, and that's the benefit of the Foodie Bar way, is that you can have everybody having the dessert nachos, but everybody can have it exactly the way they want it, what makes sense to their bodies. So what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to wait to cook the tortillas so that I can make some of the sauces and then make space for the griddle so that we can cook the tortillas. So I'm just making these little balls, and you can put them in the fridge just like this. And then when you're ready, I'm going to use a tortilla press, and we could just flatten them out and then cook them. And they're very fast. So I think that will make the most sense to me. But I don't have any helpers today. So I need to rinse out the Vitamix blender, and then we're going to start on a sauce. So let me go do that right now.
Okay, no worries. Let's go back. So I have not worked with coconut flour much myself. I don't know if Timaree has, but coconut flour is fantastic in baked goods, but it does add a lot of fat. It adds a lot of moisture, and it would probably need some other added ingredients to work with this recipe. If you wanted to base this on coconut flour instead of the corn flour, you'll probably have to add some other ingredients. So it's not as easy to work with when we're talking about whole food options.
Yeah, and I don't know if you can still hear me.
We can.
Okay, that's good. I use my earbuds so that I was hoping I would get more of just my voice rather than all the outside noises. But coconut flour, it's interesting because I have noticed it at local stores more so lately. And every time I look at it, I think, well, because I've seen different recipes for it, and I flip over the package and then I look at the fat grams and I look at the calories and I think, I don't need to be putting this into my body. A little bit of coconut just sprinkled in pieces on top of something, totally different. But because it's much better than coconut oil or coconut cream or any of those other coconut milk, because it's the whole coconut, but it's still ground, and so your body's not having to do any work to really break that down. So it makes me question. And it also, I have read a lot that it just sucks up water. So like you said, Katie, it's not going to be something you're going to be able to swap in and swap out. And it's almost like, do you want to eat a whole coconut macaroon? Probably not. Just because, again, it's so high in saturated fat. Okay, so let's move on to, we're going to make strawberry sauce. So in my book, I have 4 dessert sauces, and I'm going to do one of them from my book here. It's going to be the chocolate sauce, but I'm adding a bonus strawberry sauce that's not in my book. And so I'm going to grab the strawberries.
You guys got that in the email this morning if you're on my email list. And if you're not, I'm going to put the link for you to opt into that email list right now, and it'll be sent to your inbox, all of the recipes she's making.
So these are frozen strawberries. And I would really highly encourage you to get your berries frozen for a couple of reasons. One, because they will be available for you whenever you want them. 2, they won't mold on you. So when I buy berries at the supermarket, and my kids will ask me, please, can we have raspberries, especially raspberries, blueberries? And so I'll really carefully look to make sure there's no mold on any of the raspberries. And I'm already thinking, really, I'm going to pay this much for a little tiny container? Okay, this is the best one. There's no mold. By the time we get home, which is literally 8 minutes, I get that open and there's mold. It's just like, oh, so I don't like it is. I don't like buying the berries fresh unless we have some berries growing in our front yard. That's a whole different situation. But as far as buying mass quantities, I buy them frozen. So you can get frozen organic berries, Costco, grocery outlet, lots of places. So here, this is a cup of strawberries. Could you use different fruit? Yes, without question, but we're making a strawberry sauce. Now I'm going to add dates. So this is where I would add the soaked dates. And I actually kept this. We bought some yesterday at Costco, and I kept this. Normally, as soon as I get home, I pop this open and I proceed to take out each pit and that little top hat. And then I take all the dates that have the pits out and I put them into typically one of the thick freezer bags. So, and then I put those in the bottom drawer of the refrigerator because I don't want to try to pry these open already cold. And if you put the whole box in the fridge, they will also dry out even more. And if you keep them on the counter, they can go bad. So we don't want to do that. You want to pop them open, make sure there's no little black mold. Every once in a while, you get a little puff of black mold. We don't want that. And then you want to put them into another container, which I find the zip top bag I can pull all the air out of. So I have already done that, because the last thing you want to do is put dates in here, think, oh yeah, no, I'm sure all the pits are out. And then what do you hear? Pop, 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 and then you've got a pit in there. So, and if you don't have a Vitamix, that could ruin your blender. It could ruin the blade. So I am going to take the 5 dates here. And these are just falling apart because I soak them. And normally I would use all the 3/4 of a cup of water, but I use some of it for the tortillas. So let me see here. Here's 1/2 cup. I'm going to add a little more. I have another jar because I'm going to make sauces for you. And could you just use water? Yes, of course. So here's 1/2 cup, and then we're going to go half. Actually, I think I'm going to do the rest of it water. I'll leave that other date water for the chocolate sauce. So I have some fresh water here. So I'm going to put in 3/4 of a cup total. And again, this may end up needing a little bit more water depending on the viscosity. Then we're going to add some vanilla. So again, we can, and you can omit it, of course, 1/2 teaspoon. And then cinnamon. And I had called in the recipe for orange zest. You can use any kind of citrus zest.
What kind of dates did you use? Medjool?
I used Medjool.
Medjool.
Yes, Medjool. If you do the Deglet Nor, then you want to do 2 for every 1. Yep. Because they're about half the size. So, yes. And even those, when they say that they're pitted, check, because I find pits in there all the time. So not every single one of them, but every time I think, oh, I'm not going to check, and I want to put it into something, sure enough, there's a pit. So you don't want to do that. So let me grab the citrus. Okay, I didn't have that out. Let me wash it real quick. Okay, so one of the tools that you should definitely have, if you don't have it yet, is a microplane. So this will allow you to take just the very top layer, the zest of the fruit, the citrus fruit, right off. And if you know me, I always talk about this, that zest will help prevent skin cancer. So this, as well as pack a nice flavor punch. So it's nice to have that orange flavor, but lemon and lime would also go very well with strawberry. The microplane is also excellent for ginger and turmeric root. Those are 2 that I use this all the time for. Okay, so that's it. The only other addition is sunflower seeds or cashews. So cashews are very expensive, and there's actually some benefits to using sunflower seeds instead of the cashews as far as health-wise, and as price, they are dramatically less. So usually at Trader Joe's, when I get these raw sunflower seeds, they're around $1.99 a pound, but the cashews are like $7.99 a pound. Right around there. So I use these, and I have had students in the past that have had nut allergies, but they have been okay with seeds. This is definitely optional. It's only a tablespoon, so it's not definitely not required. Again, with this mix, you don't need to soak them ahead, but if I knew that I was going to use them, I would have just put them right with the soaking water, but I wanted to show you them separately and so try to fish them out of the bottom of the jar. Okay, so this is it for our strawberry sauce. So let's let this go. Again, I apologize for the noise. Warning, Vitamix.
Someone's asking about using hemp seeds instead of sunflower seeds, and I would say yes, you could do that.
Did you say something, Katie?
They were just asking about using hemp seeds would work instead of the sunflower seeds as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
no question. Not cheaper, for sure, but definitely that could be a great option. Now, if it's not thick enough, you can, so I think this is a little, feels a little thin to me. So you have a couple options, more fruit, or you can add chia. So I like adding, again, omega-3. So I'm going to add chia seeds, and I'll probably add half a tablespoon, so maybe a teaspoon and a half. And you just have to make sure that you're really blending it now, because we don't want little chia bites in there. Okay, so another warning. All right. Oh, let's see. Okay. All right, so let's see here. May have to reach for something else.
So,
all right.
These nachos, they seem like...
Okay. These are my little go-go gadget arms. Okay.
How often would you say
So
you're making these nachos?
Just take this.
Oh no. We lose her? Hello, everybody. Looks like we lost our guest. So we'll just give her a call back. Not sure what happened on her end. It's looking really tasty, though. We're going to try this out this weekend.
Are we back?
We are back. I don't know what happened. We got disconnected. My internet didn't stop, so the recording kept going, but...
Okay. So can you see me and hear me?
Yep, we can.
Okay, perfect. So I'm ready to pour out my strawberry sauce. Oh, it smells very good. I'm sorry that you can't smell it. It smells...
I was just asking, how often do you think you make these for your family?
Oh, they would like it all the time. Yeah. But you know what's interesting is in the book, I have it as dessert nachos that are so good for you, you can eat them for breakfast. And that's because they have beans and in this now sweet potato and fruit. And I mean, they're all just excellent. Yeah. So that
any time of the day.
Any time of the day. That name came because I was doing pictures for the book, and it was in the morning, and my daughter said, well, you're done with the picture. Can I eat this? And I said, yeah, absolutely. She's like, for breakfast? I said, yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
So it's fun. It's way fun.
That's the fun thing. Yeah, about making plant-based desserts in general. They're so nutritious.
Yeah. They are. It's real food. Okay, so we have this.
There's a little bit of an echo maybe on your end.
Okay.
But so hopefully it's not bad.
Okay.
Keep going.
Hopefully they can hear me. All right. Okay. Now, normally I would wash the Vitamix, but I'm going to make a chocolate sauce, so I don't need to because the strawberries, are going to go with it. It's not a problem. So chocolate sauce, you're going to see similar ingredients, but I'm going to add a little extra. So, but it's all in the recipe. So 5 dates again. So 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to use the water. See what I've got here. Here's 1/4 cup. Then I'll use the rest, just water. But dates, I don't know about you, Katie, but when I was young, dates were old person food. Specifically, my grandparents I remember going to their house, and just my German side, and they would have fruit, like little not wire, like little baskets, that woven baskets with dried fruit that were saran, kind of like plastic wrap.
Yeah.
And dates would be on there, and they, like, what are these little brown things, all shriveled up? And little did we know they were like the butterscotch squares at See's Candy.
Yeah.
I mean, they are just incredible.
What I grew up with, my first experience with dates were in my grandma's cookie recipe. And
okay.
I loved them. And instead of chocolate chip cookies or chocolate chips, we were putting in dates, but they were the packaged dates that were diced up and covered in dextrose. Sugar, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so now I make the recipe with fresh dates, and it's so much better.
No, I know. It's crazy. So again, we can do the hemp seeds or the sunflower seeds or the cashews. And then we're going to add the cacao powder. So this is unsweetened, and that's what we want to use. The chocolate is amazing, but it's the cacao bean that's amazing. It's not the way that we eat it normally in the United States, which is with dairy a lot of the times, right? Like a milk chocolate, or even a semi-sweet sometimes will have dairy solids in it, and the sugar, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's so high in saturated fat. So this is all the good antioxidants without all of those. However, this is not something that you can just dive into. You need a sweetness. Well, we just put the sweetness in there, the whole food. So I did a demo for Chef AJ, and I made a little chocolate banana dip. So that's on the internet if you want to see me use cocoa powder or cacao powder in another way. Now, the cacao powder, I just said cocoa or cacao, as long as it's not cocoa mix, right? Which we think about like to make hot cocoa, because of course that can have sugar in it and non-fat dairy milk, or any kind of dry milk powder. So we just want pure cacao ideally. And I did see it at Costco. They have it on sale right now. I don't know if your Costco has the same, but a nice organic cacao powder. Nice. So we're putting in 2 tablespoons, and I keep it in the freezer. I always keep everything in the freezer. I know everybody knows. Okay, now the secret ingredient that you don't tell anybody that's in there is black beans. Okay, you just put it in there. You don't tell everybody, woohoo, I'm putting black beans in the chocolate sauce. No.
Do not tell them.
Do not tell them. And do not even talk about dates. Like, this is something you want to do before everybody gets there. You just want to say, oh yeah, pull out the dessert sauces. That's it. Okay. So we have, again, a little cinnamon. I love cinnamon, so I'm going to try to, sneak it in everywhere I can. So, but again, if you're not a huge fan, then you make this your way. That's the beauty of the Foodie Bar way, is you make it how you like it, what makes sense for your body and your palate.
How long do you think the dressings or these sauces will last? How long do they last for you?
The ones, for me, at least 3 or 4 days. So I usually push it a little longer, but because it has the beans in there, you don't want it to go too long. But yeah, usually we just eat them up because it's good on everything. I don't bother with maple syrup or anything like that, because if I make waffles or if I just a bowl of fruit, it's just perfect on there. it's just excellent. So that's it. Now we're going to have to do this one more time. So put your little earphones down. I'm going to use the Vitamix.
What brand of vanilla are you using? Can you hear me? Probably not.
Okay.
Timaree, what brand of vanilla?
Yes.
Do you know?
The vanilla, it was Costco.
Oh, you said.
I had to take a loan out to buy it. Oh my gosh. Okay, so can you see me pouring chocolate sauce?
Yes. Yes.
Can
I
you
wish you
see
were
how
here pouring the
nice?
chocolate sauce.
I know. I did this for a demo for Sonoma. Actually, it wasn't even a demo. I had a talk for Sonoma Veg Fest several years ago, and then I had this at my table. People were sampling the dessert nachos. So we had the sauces and the fruit and everything. And oh my gosh, people just would stand there. Can I have another? Can I have another? Can I have another? So it was fun. Although it was crazy. I actually had someone that stood there and said, they must have taken like 3 or 4 samples. And then they said, can I just take a picture of the recipe in your book?
No.
Well, because I don't want to buy it. I just want what you have.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, I'm going to put a link to the
okay,
cookbook.
that's interesting. Oh my goodness, it was crazy. So, but they were very impressed by the chocolate sauce. And again, you don't tell the people what's in it. You just say it's delicious. And the other thing, tell them, especially as a dietitian, people expect it, but everybody else doesn't have to do this, is you don't tell them, oh, this is a healthy chocolate sauce. No. You know what people do when you say this is a healthy dessert? Like, besides us, like our people, we get it. But out there in the world, oh, it's healthy. They like brace themselves. But if you say, oh, this is going to knock your arteries flat, fast, you could die from this, they're like, okay, I'll have some. It's like, what? How tweaked do we get? It's like,
I know. And I do,
my
I
goodness.
honestly, I don't do a good job of kind of hiding that from my family. I just want to brag about all the nutritious foods in there. And then it turns them away.
It
So
does.
I got to get
It's
it
like,
in their mouth before I tell them what's in it, and then they love it.
exactly. Yeah, no, I know. It's loopy. So I'm thinking, let me grab. Okay, I cut the top off of the other one. So see how beautiful these sauces, now you label them, right? So we also do, which will have to be in the next edition of the book once I sell all the ones I have in the garage, pancake foodie bar. So I do pancake foodie bar, and then I have all these sauces, and then everybody goes crazy because we do mix-ins, and it's way fun. But these sauces work for anything that you can think of. And even the all fruit jams you see often will have some, quite a bit of sugar. So this is nice that you don't really see those jams with dates for sure. Okay, so now what I want to do is move to the tortillas. Are we okay with that?
Yes, please do.
Okay, so how are we? I'm a little concerned about time, but I'm going to just...
It's 6 o'clock,
I'll
but
be
you just
okay.
keep going. People can
Okay.
get the rest of the
Okay.
replay a little later or tomorrow morning. We don't leave the
Okay.
replay up forever. We take it down and put it in our members portal, but I'm going to leave it up for longer until noon tomorrow so everyone can watch it in case those who missed it due to our technology glitches.
Yes.
Someone was asking
Okay.
about the scraping tool that you were using.
Yes. So my favorite one is called Tovolo. Tovolo.
I have that same one. I love it.
Yes, and I love it. There's a better one. I think, and it's Sur La Taub's blender one, but what I'm not happy with is the metal is starting to come through. So
That's
I'm going to
not
have
good.
to write them because I'm not happy with this. So I don't use this one anymore because it's cracking through. So I use the Tovolo. That's the one I love. But the other one's even better shape. The other one too has a big one, but it just seems a little too big. But this
Ooh.
is another blender scraper. I don't know. Like I said, this is my superpower, so I'm all into scrapers. Okay, so tortilla press. I am cutting a thick quart-size bag so that we can make this easy. Can you do this without a press? Of course, but is it as fun? No. So the
Oh. I hope we didn't lose you. It just froze up a bit.
yeah, it looks like it froze.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Okay. It says reconnecting. I think we're okay. So, do you see what I'm doing here? Just
Mm-hmm.
making these little tacos, little tortillas. And if you get them too thin, then they stick really quite a bit. But that's it. That's as easy as it
So
goes.
have you ever,
So
if you
I
do this
am,
without the plastic, what happens? It all sticks to the pan?
yeah, I think so. I don't want to try it. I don't want to have to clean it up. Like even this one got a little too thin, a little too much muscle. And so it's sticking.
Yeah.
So it's not, you just have to make it again. But it's much easier to do it this way. I was using just saran a little bit, but this works better. So here's 3, because we don't have to go crazy on this right now. And because I want to show you how I do fruit as well. So it's actually a panini maker that I'm using to do the tortillas that I got. I really am happy with it. I got it at Kohl's recently.
The one that you were just using?
No,
That was a press.
that's a tortilla press. This
Mm-hmm.
is a panini maker, like a griddle.
Okay.
So I am, as soon as I can adjust the temperature, so it's at 400 degrees. So as soon as it beeps on for me, I'll open it up and then we'll cook those tortillas. But in the meantime, I want to think about oh, there it goes. Okay, so I'm gonna open this up. Now I don't know, let's see if we can move me here. Can you see the griddle?
Yes.
Not that you need to, I mean, you know what it looks like. You just put the little
No. What brand are you using, Katie?
tortillas. This is, I have to look around on the other side. I don't remember. Cathalon? I think it was Cathalon.
Okay.
But it was on sale. You know how Kohl's has all of their, I'm actually going to move them over here. Kohl's has their 20% off, 20% off, you know, those types of things. So I basically got it for half price because of all their deals. And it was a special deal. But you can use any nonstick. You know, they have this is ceramic coated.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't use any of the other kind of nonstick, but the ceramic coated
Oh, good.
is works great. So it's typically about 90 seconds on each side. I'm kind of looking at them to see if I'm going to start to see some brown. But what was really fun is when I was practicing with them, and we'll see if it actually works when you're watching, but I flipped them over and then they actually puffed up a little bit inside. So that was exciting. So we'll see if that happens. But I was mentioning earlier that when I make the dessert nachos, I don't use a grain because I used fruit on fruit. So with fruit, you always want to make sure with all produce that you get the most colorful possible. So instead of just getting a pear that maybe is green, or a light color. I decided to go for a red pear because, again, all the color, the phytonutrients, are in the skin. Now, this one has a little darkness around, so you never know how beautiful it's going to be. This may not be making beautiful chips, but that's okay. We also can use apple. So I am going to start with a little plate here. So we can use, and this one just split. Oh my gosh, our dog is outside and he's trying to get in because if he comes in, he's going to make noise, and I hope that you can't hear him. He's just making a racket. Okay, good. All right, so I've got a couple bites there, and then I wanted to show you how you can use melon. I've got to look at these little babies. All right, I'm just going to flip them over. And this is called a hammy melon. So I found it at our local grocery store, but any kind of yellow or orange flesh melon or any type of melon will work. But a cantaloupe, those are so high. The orange colored melons are so high in vitamin A and vitamin C, but vitamin A specifically. So we're going to use those as some nacho chips. Okay. And so you just want them whatever size, whatever thickness makes sense for you to eat as a chip. You can do this with pineapple. You can do this with apple. Lots of different fruits and or not vegetables, but fruits. And you want to try to get as low to the skin as possible, because especially even with close to the rind, with watermelon, there's a lot of nutrients right there close to the rind, not just the colored flesh. Okay, so we've got some melon, and then how do these babies look? Okay, they're starting to puff up a little tiny bit. So that's great. Okay, so what I want to do is take out all of the fruit that goes on top. I want to make some banana as part of the fruit that goes on top of these nachos. You can use banana as a chip, but it's just a little bit more difficult to pick up. Bananas are a little soft. But if you cut them into quarters, then you can use them as a topping. So what I do is I have all of these little bowls that I will set out with all of these little toppings. So is everybody still hearing me okay?
Yep, we got you.
Good. Okay, perfect. So we've got that. I'm going to turn off the griddle, and you can see how these little cuties came out. I'm going to put those on this plate. We'll make little dessert tacos on this plate. I'll turn off that.
There are so many melons. So many melons in season right now in California.
Oh, yes.
Do you know which one you're using?
It's called Hammy, H-A-M-I.
Yeah.
But I had never heard of it until season.
Yeah, I was going to say, I haven't heard of that one.
So. I know. I like Gallia. There's so many different types. So here we're going to pull out the toppings. So we've got, and hopefully I remembered everything that I prepared ahead. I think so. So we have blueberries, strawberries, kiwi, and this is gold kiwi, which is even more nutritious than the green kiwi. And the skin, you may say, oh my gosh, she's eating the skin on it. Yes, I eat it with the skin. And the gold ones, the skin's even thinner and it's not furry at all. Okay, Very excellent. And then we have
Where do you find gold
mandarin,
kiwi? Are they just at your local
local grocery store, and Costco, actually.
Costco? Good to know.
Yes. Their sun gold is what you typically will see the name. And then I even have a nectarine that I can cut up, but we don't have to necessarily take more time to do that. But the possibilities are endless.
Endless.
So we have some walnuts. If you are consuming nuts, walnuts are going to be a great choice for the omega-3 fatty acids. And the fact that it's not ground, they're just chunked up a little bit. And the research on nuts is excellent. It really shows that we see people healthier when they use a little bit of the whole nut, because when we chew it, we can never chew it small enough to where we absorb all of the calories. But they don't see that same benefit without the weight gain with a nut butter. So something like peanut butter, almond butter, that it's already ground, and so you're going to easily absorb more of the calories and fat. But when you're just putting a little bit of walnuts on something at the very top, the raw walnuts, you're not going to see this big change in weight that they expected when they gave with studies, when they gave people consistent nuts every day. Okay, and we have our sauces, of course. Now, in addition to here, well, let's start to load this up, and then I'm going to show you what I add to it. So I normally would do a little spoon for every one of these little ones.
Someone
But what were
wants
you
to
going to say?
know, can I jump in, the
Yes.
actual brand of your tortilla press? I posted one that looked just like the one you were using, but
no idea. There's no, I don't think, Alpha. Actually, it says Alpha. I went to a Mexican market and did a horrible job trying to speak Spanish to the to the person that was there. But I just went to a local. We have huge population here in Lodi, and so that's what it's. The name was Alpha, but it was. I don't think it really matters. I think a tortilla press is a tortilla press. So the most challenging part is actually with, now I'm hearing a little, but with the blueberries. So and just keeping everything on the chips. So you're just kind of having fun. You use a fork or a spoon or whatever, because things are going to kind of go all over the place. But it is such a blast. So here are some kiwi. This is some gold kiwi on top. So hopefully I'll be able to get a nice picture of this. Then we have strawberries. And strawberries, I buy all the berries I buy organic because of all the spraying. Unfortunately, they're heavily sprayed. Then I try to buy as much as I can organic, of course, but I use the Environmental Working Group, ewg.org, in order to kind of help me navigate if funds sometimes don't allow for us to always buy everything organic or just availability, but that helps me prioritize what I buy that's organic. But of course, the best is growing it or local farmers market, which is actually happening right now in Lodi. And then I will do a little bit of the nuts on top. And before I do the sauces, I will add either my chai spice blend, which is in the book, or my pumpkin pie spice blend. Again, the antioxidants in these herbs and spices, the spices specifically, are off the charts. So just a little pinch of the chai spice blend, because it has turmeric in it and black pepper, besides being full of flavor, is giving you even more of a nutritious punch. And then we have our sauces. So here is the strawberry sauce that we're going to do on top. And then I'll do the chocolate across. And I don't know how well you'll be able to see. Can you see?
Yeah, it looks amazing.
So that's a beautiful little dessert nacho. Now, the thing that I forgot was mint. Mint is growing outside for me, but I don't have mint right in here. I would have to leave my house, which I'm not going to do because we are already over on time. But I will load up 3 of these little tacos. So, of course, we can choose. We can have 3 different tacos, or we can do 3 that are the same. So does anybody
Have
have
you ever
any
done these little
questions?
tortillas in the oven to get them a little crispier, or an
Yes.
air
So
fryer?
if you want to, I was also made them into chips
Mm-hmm.
because I was just experimenting with them. And so I put them in the oven, and I put that in the recipe to give people some
Mm-hmm.
guidance about it. But for about 5 minutes on each side. So I would take these little tortillas and cut them into quarters and then put them in the oven at about 350, and just have to be watchful. The first 5 minutes, they're not going to burn, but that second 5 minutes, you just want to be aware, and they'll get pretty hard. They'll get pretty crunchy. So you may just want to experiment with how thin, this is all just for fun. This is not stressful. So experiment with how thin they are. You want them a little thinner if you're going to do the chips than if you want to have the tacos. So yes, you could definitely crisp them up in the oven. But I thought this would be actually fun to have little tacos instead of just always the
And
chips.
nachos, yeah.
Yeah. So this is, and I was just dreaming about this, thinking, how can I do, because I've been thinking about it for weeks and weeks and weeks. How can I do this for you where it's gluten-free, but it's different, kind of fun, and then to add as much nutritious, like how can I add sweet potatoes or beans or, and so it was like, wow, I did it both.
And if
So
someone doesn't have time to make the tortillas from scratch, but they are okay using grains, I was just going to suggest what we like to do is buy the corn tortillas that don't have any oil added. So there's a couple different brands. The Food for Life and Sonoma has a brand that they have just a little bit of salt, but it's so little, so insignificant, and there's no oil added. And then you cut those up in little triangles and put them in the oven, and they work out
yeah.
really great. So you could sprinkle some cinnamon on the tortillas before toasting them. That would be an easy option.
And I actually did that in advance because I thought, well, maybe I'll just show you how to use a already
Mm-hmm.
prepared corn tortilla. And I used date syrup that I had made, and I put that on top and added a little extra cinnamon and then cooked those. And it added extra moisture. So you'd have to cook them longer.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you can definitely play around with that.
Yeah.
And again, the fruit nachos are perfect. Fruit on fruit. You don't have to make
No.
any of these. I just wanted to do something super special for you guys. But
Well, thank
here
you for
are,
that. And we have someone asking if they can buy your
yes,
cookbook directly from you, since
yes,
you have some on
please
hand.
do. Yes, so with Amazon, it's a little challenging because they are very expensive and I have to ship to them. But I have them at home. So foodiebars.com is where you would go to purchase it right from me. And I will write a note and stick it in there and then send it to you. Take it to the post office and send it directly to you.
Awesome.
I also will, if you go to my regular website, thenutritionprofessor.com, you will see there is a little picture of my book. And when you click on that, it takes you to the Foodie Bars website. So I have lots and lots I just was working on it. I have like 246 posts on my website, different articles and
Mm-hmm.
cooking demos and podcast interviews and all kinds of things.
Wow.
I do a lot with California Bountiful. So we go to the supermarket or farmer's market, pick out a piece of produce, and then I come home and cook with it. And so I've done at least 50 of those, and
Wow.
those are all available. So,
Awesome.
and so here are the little dessert tacos. I wish you were here to have one.
Yes. Oh.
So, and they just need a little bit of mint. But this is such a fun concept because no matter if you like strawberries or don't like banana, when you set out all these options, everybody can make it
Mm-hmm.
exactly the way that they want it. So
Exactly.
it's way fun. And we see this too. One of my friends who may be on the line, she did the dessert nacho. She brings it to her staff meetings and everybody loves it. And the rest of her staff, not plant-based, but nobody cares.
Mm-hmm.
They just know, oh, these are so good. This is so delicious.
This is my
So
favorite type
it,
of, like, if you do a potluck or something, instead of just a random collection of everyone's recipes, having a theme. And that's where
right.
the foodie bar comes in
Yeah.
so handy if you have,
Yes.
whether it's just a family gathering or you're having friends over, to choose a theme, and then you can show people the, you could snap
All the
pictures and send
variety.
it out or whatever, and or just send them to your
Exactly.
website. I'm sure a lot of these recipes are on your website as well. Some of them,
Not the
or no?
foodie bars.
Okay, no,
So the foodie bars, that's something that it's specifically on in the
in
book
the book.
where it sets up every bar. So there's 32 bars,
Mm-hmm.
has a basic bar and a raising the bar. So that gives you all the basic options because I wrote this for my students who told me no time, no money, no experience in the kitchen, but they like variety. So this allows people to mix and
I love
match
it.
and set things up. And here's a loaded potato bar that we did in Sacramento. We had 63 people bring and contribute items. We had 4 tables worth of toppings. And it makes it the easiest potlucks ever because, like you said, you just go down the line. And some people will say, oh, yeah, I'll bring your seasoned black beans. And then someone else says, oh, could I just bring frozen corn? You could bring frozen corn. Perfect,
Mm-hmm.
because all of that makes the bar.
Exactly.
Just because a lot of people do get anxious about participating in a potluck if they have
Mm-hmm.
to make something, if they are not used to cooking, and especially if they're not used to plant-based cooking. So it's way too intimidating. And if they can be given something like, could you bring a bag of shredded cabbage or shredded carrots or a can of olives or, you know,
Yeah.
a frozen corn,
And then
organic
you
corn,
also, they
they
get
can do
to
it.
experience one dish and the variety of one dish. They kind of fall in love with it rather
Yes,
than a little bit of everything. And it's like, that was all tasty, but I don't have a very clear action to go home with.
right. Yeah, and if you just have a tablespoon of all these different things, you're right. I mean, you're not going to recreate that at home.
Right.
And so this also, the variety piece, because sometimes people will say, well, what I live alone. I don't entertain. You don't have to. This is how you make the same dish different ways
Mm-hmm.
so that you don't get bored. And we know the research shows, you spoke about the microbiome earlier. Research shows that the number one factor that impacts the health of your microbiome in your gut is the variety of plants you consume. So even the people who are, tried and true plant-based whole food, but eat the same 6 fruits and vegetables over and over and over again, they're not going to have that same advantage of someone who's eating a big variety. So that's what makes it so much fun. So this is how I bring myself to you, because you can't come and take my class, but you can take this. You can have this foodie bar way in your house. And then the last little thing I just want to mention is because I'm a teacher and I love cooking and I've been collecting cookbooks since I was tiny, I would always write in the margins if I made a change because I'm always, making
Yeah.
changes, leaving things out. But what I did is I created for each of these bars an area that's like a workbook, and it leaves space for you
Mm.
not only to add your own addition. So for this potato bar, maybe you have a really good 6-bean chili that would be great on a potato. Jot it right down
Yeah.
here so that you
Can you
have that
scoot over just
information.
a little bit? Just scoot to your
Yes.
right. Yeah. There you go.
Okay,
Now they can see
perfect.
both sides.
And then I have, this is the favorite combinations. So when you came up with, maybe you decide, oh my gosh, the kiwi and the blueberries were just incredible together. Okay, then make that note. And then who loved the foodie bar? So if you have other people involved, it would be good to write that. And where did you set this up? Did you set it up for a party? Did you set it up for a work meeting? Just so that you
It's
have
helpful
that.
to have
And
all
then
those notes. Yep.
it does. And then the next time you'd make it, what would you do different? And so I really had envisioned having this as something that people make their own and then pass down to their family. Because
Oh,
really, I mean, this is my little grandparents are all past now, but I feel them in my spirit every
you're
single
so
day.
sweet. That's awesome. I love it.
So that's what I want for the future. And we don't get tired of these. These are family favorites, these foods, but they're in a way that loves you back. So it's the
We,
pasta and the pizza and all
yeah,
of that.
we
And the
have a lot of
nachos.
people wanting to buy the book, and
Yes,
they were just wondering
foodiebars.com.
if there's a coupon code because on the website it says coupon code.
No, there's no coupon
Okay,
code.
I didn't think
So
so.
yeah, no,
But
it's
I
just
want to tell you
foodie bars.
guys, I
Yes.
have 3 of her cookbooks here, and I'm going to be giving these away. They're not even opened yet to whoever makes the first 3 people to make this dessert nacho bar any way you want, or it could be the tacos, but you have to tag both Timaree and myself on Facebook or on Instagram so that we can see it. And I know not everyone is on Facebook or Instagram, so if you want to join us and you're not on either social media channel, you could email it to me and then I could post it for you. But the first 3 people to make this weekend, or maybe even tomorrow, and post those pictures are going to get a nice brand new
Their own
foodie bar
copy.
way. Yep. It's not
Very
opened yet,
nice.
so it won't be signed, but I'll be shipping those out to you. So just let me know. And of course, when you do, if you tag us, be paying attention. I'll get back to you to ask for your address. So,
Sounds great. But yes, if anybody, and they make really excellent book or gifts because it doesn't say vegan on the front. It doesn't say vegetarian. It's 100% plant-based. And I teach you how to make dressings and sauces and pestos, no oil at all in the whole book, but it doesn't scream for people to like, this must
mhm.
be vegan, this must be plant-based. So it's a really nice gift for someone. They just see that it's just all love, right? It's
Yeah.
just all options and all love. So I've had a lot of people buy it as wedding gifts for people, Mother's Day, lots of different occasions.
It's
So
fun for families, like for the kids to actually be looking through it and even filling out those notes as well, just to get them involved.
yes, and let me read one little tiny piece before we close for
Okay.
tonight.
Let me just answer this one question, and then we'll
Yes,
finish with those or your comment. The recipes are 100% oil free. She just said this, but someone just asked oil free and plant based. They're also, I would say, sugar free, and I'm not sure about salt. You might have a little bit of salt in there, but that's always
yes.
optional.
Salt is always optional, definitely. And then as far as sugar goes, I have 1 or 2 recipes that use coconut sugar, but
Hmm.
you can use date sugar, and I even write in there you can use date sugar.
Awesome.
And again, that's always optional. But yes, it is whole food. And because there are so many options, like for the dessert nachos, you could go with the fruit on fruit. So, if someone says, "Well, I'm gluten free," and what about the pizza? Well, the choices for crusts is long. You could do portobello mushrooms. You could do, and I have all those ideas there for you. So it makes it really easy.
Timaree, what is your handle on
The
social
new
media?
the nutrition professor, um, and I don't think it's the NutriProf. It's just on I think it's the nutrition professor on Instagram. It's at the bottom of my feed is at the bottom of my website, thenutritionprofessor.com.
Okay. Well,
I
I'm
can
putting
look at
these
it.
2 here, but I will double check on this um, and let you guys know about how to get the free cookbooks. just 3 copies. Otherwise, I just recommend buying the cookbook too, so you can try out all of the recipes in there.
Thank
All
you.
right.
So let me just read this little part about attention, all parents and grandparents. The Foodie Bar Way is excellent for simultaneously encouraging autonomy and fostering teamwork. For the prep, items can be assigned to each family member to work with a partner or independently. Then everyone comes together to work as a team to set up a variety of options and enjoy the Foodie Bar meal. So this is truly about coming together instead of being divided over what to eat, coming together around one table to enjoy one meal with lots of options so everyone's happy. I included other sections in here about how to keep produce lasting longer, how to set up your kitchen, even your mindset. But this is, 94 recipes, a picture for every recipe.
I love it.
Thank you so much, Katie. We made it through the technical challenges.
We did, and we'll have to do this again another time. We'll do a different bar next time.
Yes,
But
sounds
next week
good.
we have a special guest. We have Elspeth and Kaylee. We're going to be making a raw dish, actually probably a few dishes. So I hope you guys can join us. And we'll see you on social media if we can get some of those posts up about this dessert nacho bar and see all of your fancy creations, tasty creations. We'd love to see those. So thank you, Timaree. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.